I thank you very much for hosting us, and I'm also thanking all the speakers for their eloquent and informative speeches, which we learned a lot from. Special thanks to His Excellency President Ivanov for giving us this opportunity to be here in this beautiful country and to meet all these distinguished personalities. I remember when I was Director General of Skopje, I introduced in the program of the organization activities on democracy and human rights and the role of parliament in promoting these valuable ideals that protect the societies and maintain peace and security in the respective countries. And I look at democracy as the only tool that can solve the problems that arise between the different components of any society. Without democracy, we will have autocracy or totalitarianism, repressive regimes that do not pay any attention to the human rights or the dignity of humans. So the role of Parliament, or the parliaments in general, is to maintain this kind of harmony in the society and to protect the institutions, the democratic institutions, not to be manipulated or infiltrated by elements who tend to utilize them for their own ends, but not for the purpose of serving the community and the population. The parliaments are the basin of legislations. The legislations come through parliamentarians. And without the legislations that come from the parliament and adopted by the parliamentarians, there will be no law and order in the society. So the responsibility of the parliamentarians not to serve their own interests as persons or the interests of their parties, but the interests of the society in general, the country in general. And this is something very, very delicate because, you know, we are not utopians or living in a different planet. We are living on this planet which is complicated and, you know, many influences come from here and there and many affiliations come from here, from there and here. But the most important thing is to maintain the mainstream in the parliaments for serving the peace and security in the country and to defend it and to make the population live in peace and in prosperity and to promote the culture of peace and culture of respect among the components of the society. So I am very proud to say that, you know, learning about the parliament in Macedonia, as my professor, Dr. former President Ivanov told me, Macedonia has a good parliament. I'm not saying this to please you, but this is, I read about it and I saw the facts and the results of what the parliament is doing here. So there are some parliaments where you find people fighting and punching each other in the parliament. In Macedonia, the parliament is safe from any deviation. It's a straightforward parliament that gains respect and serves the community of this great country. Your country has a great history, and it is playing a great role now, giving the world an example of harmony, of peaceful existence between its components. And this is my second visit to this beautiful country. But I told His Excellency President Ivanov yesterday, and I told the Foreign Minister this morning, I was really fascinated by the peaceful life here and the hospitality and the smiles on the faces of the people. I mean, you go to certain countries and you are off from the beginning, from the airport. When I entered the airport, and I stood in the queue waiting for my turn to stamp my passport. The gentleman who was looking at my passport said, "Why you are here?" I said, "I'm attending a cultural forum invited by His Excellency former President George Ivanov." And he said, "Is this your first visit?" I said, "No, this is the second visit, and I hope it will not be the last." Yeah. So he smiled, "Welcome to our country." some passport people in certain airports, make you go back and take your plane again from where you came. So and we have in Arabic, we have a proverb that says, the book is read from its title, and Macedonia is read from its airport. Thank you, Excellency.
We have very good titles of the book. We will need to work a little bit inside of the book, but however, the first impression is always, I think, good and important. Дали някой друг сака да се включи?
Anyone else taking the floor? MP Велика Стойкова.
Ви благодарам.
Thank you, President. It is a great honor and pleasure to be present at this event today. I'm a member of Assembly, at the same time member of the Committee on Culture and Tourism, chaired by my colleague Saranda Meristafai. I come from my profession, actually, professional background is deep into culture. I'm ethnomusician by profession and cultural anthropologist, and at the same time I'm accredited UNESCO facilitator on immaterial cultural heritage. And before I became MP, actually I'm still doing it while being an MP, I had the opportunity to be a cultural diplomat in the framework of the intergovernmental conferences of UNESCO, which included immaterial cultural heritage and goods on the list of UNESCO. UNESCO is a United Nations in small, and you can see how both politics and cultural diplomacy talk among them, sometimes what I would like to emphasize as a positive example from my personal experience on how important cultural diplomacy is for a society and especially for a region. I would like to give two examples. One of the examples is international and the other one is domestic as an MP. The international example is a very impressive case from 2014 when Macedonia proposed introducing a folklore dance into the list of UNESCO, and there was a problem at the time, and back then we had already serious problems with our neighbors. Then our neighbors helped us in overcoming this problem with UNESCO, and this immaterial cultural heritage, this dance, to be enlisted in the World Heritage. And when I came back, that my colleagues from Greece and Bulgaria assisted me most. My colleagues here couldn't believe me. Back then we already had serious issues, disputes with our colleagues, but we did this together because my colleague from Bulgaria and Greece, they understood culture. They loved this dance very much, and when we discussed as cultural diplomats, as cultural workers, we discussed about shared values in culture for what brings us closer and not what drifts us apart. What is interesting, the very same year the Intergovernmental Conference took place in Namibia, and we had an idea, Macedonia, Greece and Bulgaria, to propose a common good on the list of UNESCO, and that is Lazar. This was only an idea. It was not realized, but this is a good example how much we can understand each other and respect each other through culture and cultural diplomacy. The second example is what we do in the Assembly as members of the Assembly and members of the Committee on Culture and Tourism. It is our task that each year we publish a so-called annual program to celebrate the jubilees of important persons and important events which are of significant importance for the Republic of Macedonia. What is interesting is if you review the annual program of this year, you can see persons and events of all cultures, of all ethnic backgrounds who live in Macedonia, who unite us. We do not make differences here on religious lines or ethnic lines or any other lines. We live together here, as the former president has highlighted, and we respect each other and we coexist. I believe that as a state we can show a lot with regard to our tolerance to different cultures, cultural expressions. I would like to share, there was a wonderful initiative to enlist at the UNESCO's list St. George's Day, ili Erdelezi. In the Republic of Macedonia, we have recognized this celebration in all ethnic communities. This is such a big achievement, and I'm so proud of this. And when I present this at world scientific events, everyone is really mesmerized when I say them that we have 5
Имаше една иницијатива за впишување нова
characteristics for all ethnic communities. Beginning from Croatia, Jurevo, and ending with the Arab worlds, where Hıdrellez is celebrated. Unfortunately, UNESCO can be a political institution and instrument sometimes. So our proposal of 9 states was refused, even though I remember well the ambassador of Turkey when in Paris, when he said in Paris that in these times and no times when there is a clash of civilization, we represent such an idea and a project that will unite us all. Unfortunately, did not go through. It continued in another way, which is also good in terms of bringing closer the cultural differences. But what is good, at the regional level, we have much more things that unite us than things that bring us apart, put us apart. It shows a connection of a person above all with nature, and all of the beliefs that are similar between the communities are expressed in a different way, which represent art, customs, rituals, everything that means something personally to us. But when you see that this is similar and connects us all, as a cultural worker, I have had many examples to see that the cultural differences can be overcome. And I believe that cultural diplomacy is not applied enough, especially regionally here, where we could jointly represent the millennia-long civilizational values owned not only by the Republic of Macedonia as part of the world civilization. We do not cooperate enough. I believe we should have a more serious strategy in cultural diplomacy, not only at the national level, but at the regional level as well. I'm also active with regard to preserving the environment, and I can see that we have a wonderful opportunity, especially Balkans as a region, which is especially rich in cultural heritages, at the same time with natural resources. We can foster a wonderful story about the Balkans, about Southeastern Europe, which is rich in natural and cultural heritage, part of world civilizations. We regionally share values. Our Pearl, Ohrid, and the Ohrid region is enlisted on the list of UNESCO as a natural and cultural heritage, and we share Ohrid with the Republic of Albania. And the Ohrid region is shared by 3 states, Macedonia, Albania, and Greece. And this is enlisted as the part of the world biosphere. We have a lot to show, we have a lot to do, and I believe that culture and cultural diplomacy is the strongest tool and the most beautiful tool, because when you talk with people from culture, you will not hear arguing, but you will hear something coming from our hearts, our emotions, something artistic, something that connects us to our identity. Thank you.
Благодарам на пратеничката Велика.
Thank you, dear MP Velika Stojkovska Serafimovska, for your contribution. It was pleasant to hear you presenting our state in terms of, from the point of view of a cultural worker, let's say. I would like to give a floor to the member assembly, Boban Karapevsky, and I would like to finalize with him. We would gladly have you, but we know that you have agenda and you need to go. Thank you.
I'll try to be as short as possible because I don't want to be on the word of other MPs. I'm really only on the path of the pause for the lunch. So the cultural diplomacy is extremely important, but culinary diplomacy is one of the strongest sciences. So I wouldn't like to leave a bad impression to our guests. Thank you a lot. For the cultural diplomacy, more intuitively. After this, don't speak at all. Thank you. Cultural diplomacy is something that I don't know as colleague Stojkova Serafimovska, that who has a theoretical knowledge, but I feel it more intuitively. But my experience must bring me to a certain intuition. I teach logistics in the faculty, and I don't know if it's true, but it is okay. But in Japan, this is how they recognize male and female chicken. They take a person who should decide if the chicken is male or female, and they say by intuition, put it in a pile, and the one who sits behind him, it says it's good or bad. It's good or bad. But after a few months, they say it's interesting how people can say which is male or female. But it's intuition or knowledge, and of course the intuition is a product of some certain previous knowledge or experience, and Macedonia can offer a lot in the plan of culture, maybe mostly. Before I worked at the philological faculty, I worked at the Museum of Arts and Science, and I asked how a publication goes in the academy, and they said that in the world academies are not so much interested in that what Macedonia produces in the part of the techniques without accumulation, but we surely can contribute a lot, but not as much, because culture is one of the segments when you don't need a lot of money to make a certain impact. But of course, always I would like in the field of, we would like to have the publications from the humanistic science, and this is what our main product should be, because we have a lot to offer in the world map, and I think that we can be example for democracy, however strange it sounds, but the culture has existed in these territories with centuries. Tolerance and mutual respect is the basic for the cultural diplomacy. And as Victor Friedman says in Chicago, he says, when 100 years ago you could have could have go from Sarajevo to Istanbul without showing an ID card. This is something that what in today's world is a Schengen zone. We are something that was in front of that regarding the respect of the cultural differences. Language is one proof. The Balkan Language Alliance is a proof that is something that we can export as a good product and as an example how these things can coexist in the frames of culture and general culture, because in the frames of the folklore, especially the literary folklore, we can say that all the Balkan countries have all the motives needed by literacy in the folklore. And the thing is how these successful cultural stories can be framed and be presented to the world. Thank you a lot.
Благодаря много, Boban Karapet.
Thank you, Boban Karapevsky. Now, I wouldn't take much time. I just want to be out of your road to lunch with one word. I want to end this meeting, and I thought what I can say as short as I can. So I've tried to make synthetics of the terms and concepts that we have talked about today. And my conclusion is that if we want to say this in only one word, which is very difficult, I think that the word peace concludes all of this, and everything that we spoke of today, cultural diplomacy, tolerance and love that we have not mentioned, and I think that this is the highest level of respect between the people. I think that peace is the word that we are seeking for. Therefore, I would use two proverbs of two very famous person, Mahatma Gandhi, who says that peace, there's no road to peace. Peace is the road or the path. And I will conclude with Mother Teresa, who says that peace starts with a smile at the airport. Thank you a lot.